Today I'm going to get a little personal and talk about my own experience. I'm going to talk about beliefs and being trapped by the beliefs of others as well as self. I'm going to talk a little bit about Plato's cave, the Garden of Eden, synchronicity, and how I moved away from the normal perspective of Christianity into the perspective that I have now. So I just want to preface this video by saying I think it's Mother Teresa that said that the cruelest thing you can do is to rob somebody of their faith. So if you're a Christian, scroll on by, I don't want to trigger anyone or change your beliefs. I'm just sharing my own journey and perspective. So yeah, let's start with Plato's cave, probably the earliest rendition of the Matrix that we are aware of. So Plato wrote the allegory of the cave, and in this cave we have people sitting, staring at a wall, and in front of them they see a bunch of shadows being projected, shadows of birds and trees and houses and people, because behind them is a flame, and then even behind that this is being projected. And these people are tied by chains to the ground so they can't move. So these projections become their lives, and they analyze it and they talk about it and they think that it's reality, and they become intellectual about it. And then somebody breaks free, as somebody always does, and moves from this cave into the outside world. And then obviously when this person comes into the outside world, the brightness of the sun is quite a lot, so it takes a while for his eyes to adjust, and then he sees real animals, real people, real houses, real trees. And out of love, as the philosopher does, he decides to come back and share his knowledge with the rest of the people. But they, seeing that he's stumbling in the darkness, judge him, and they do not want to believe him. And it's like Bill Higgs says, with people like that, we always say, kill that guy, shut him up. Who does he think he is? This just has to be real. This just has to be real. So that is the story of, the Matrix in a nutshell. And it's an allegory for waking up from conditioned beliefs. Because if we talk about what the Matrix is the Matrix of mind. It's about conditioned thoughts, conditioned patterns. As I said in the previous video, our angels who, like thoughts that we had when we were young that saved us, that become demons in our older years, because now we can't revise our maps. Now, the thing about the human brain is every time it reaches a point where it has to expand its frame of reference, or its paradigm into a bigger paradigm, there is something called cognitive dissonance, and the brain will reel against the new information because it is our biological imperative to stay safe. And then we would literally in that moment become narrow-minded, and we will attack the new information, probably with ad hominem attacks. So that would be attacking the human being itself, not the argument itself, right? So we can see also, I'm a very big Jordan Peterson fan, we can see in reality what's happening when he speaks up. People start attacking him, calling him a fascist, calling him homophobic, but not attacking the nuanced arguments that he's bringing to the table that is now trying to challenge the current hypernorm. So please go to video 4 if you want to hear about hypernorms. Everything is explained in that. This is video 5. Okay, so I want to talk about Christianity. I was raised a Christian by wonderful parents, and because of that I know my Bible very well, and I've got a very, very big love for God. But at some point in my evolution, after trauma, after loss, I started to question the stories handed down to me, because I wanted to really know what was going on. I wanted to know who God is, and I also wanted to know, why does bad things happen to good people? And in this, it was very difficult because we think that we're questioning God, but we're actually not questioning God. We're questioning other people's perspective on God, right? Which is not the same thing. So how I went about this is I prayed and I asked for guidance. So every time new information came across my path, I would ask for it to be verified 3 times within a week, and then it would be verified, and then I would know, okay, boop, 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 I can move outside of the box a little bit. So I want to talk about the Garden of Eden. So a thought that I had is, if God is almighty, all-knowing, so what is that? Omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, and loving, right? Then he or she would know what we would do before we did it, because time would not even be a thing. So then he or she would know that we would eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil before even planting it. And then God would also know whether we would choose him before we incarnated. So, I mean, that combined with loving would maybe make it a little bit weird to create people then in a limited time frame with limited knowledge, and then to punish them for all eternity, for making the wrong decision within that limited time frame, even though you as an omniscient being knew that they, could do that. So for that to be true, God would either have to be not loving or not all-powerful. And my baseline assumptions are indeed that those 4 premises remain true. So this made me question religion when I was about 27, and it was very difficult. And then I started reading comparative religious studies. I started reading all the different religions, the big 5, monotheistic, and then pantheistic, polytheistic religions. Also went into philosophy, quantum mechanics, and slowly but surely I built this frame of reference where I realized that this is a learning school, right? And that we're multidimensional beings that came into this reality to expand, right? We are God seeing himself through our eyes. So I think it's Neil Donald Walsh who said, God sees us as us, or sees us through us as us, right? That's how close it is. Now, what is God? This is the question, right? Because if you personify the benevolent force that animates all of existence, I think, who was it that said, if you name me, you negate me. So if you put a name to something, you make it smaller. If you tell a child that is a bird, the child will look at the bird and think the word bird, and it will never see a bird truly again. And this is true. This is true for everything. So, I mean, this is the difficult thing about being human, because the moment we put something into words, words are inert. They're dead symbols, right? Then we make them smaller. So, yeah, I moved from this, and then I became a more spiritual person, and ended up kind of being Gnostic. But I mean, that changes because we change as we grow. That is the whole thing about growth. You can't say this is what I believe, because you will grow. And also, I absolutely adore Zen Buddhism. It's so lovely, if you look at Buddhism, which started in India and then moved to China and then eventually ended up in Japan. The Buddha is skinny and very serious, and then eventually you end up with the laughing Buddha, and then you get Zen Buddhism, and then eventually Taoism, right, which is my jam. And I'll talk about that in later videos as well. But if you look at the laughing Buddha, firstly, he's fat and he's laughing. And the reason why he's fat is he is enjoying life. And also the reason why he's laughing is because we want this over that, and he finds it very funny. Because if you look at awakening, Satori, or Nirvana, then one of the biggest the biggest things that happen to people when they wake up according to the legends and stories, is they laugh, right? They laugh because it's so beautiful. They laugh at how serious we take this and how we go left and right and wrong. But eventually it's that divine dichotomy, you know, being able to entertain nuance and to see from a larger perspective that all of this is perfectly planned by a beautiful, benevolent creator. And yes, that doesn't negate the fact that we're in a matrix, and that within this matrix there is a lot of control, and that right now we are in the lowest vibrational three-dimensional material space that consciousness can find itself, right? We are radical gamers. Everyone on this planet is a radical rock star gamer, and the problem is we lose our connection to the higher consciousness, and then we start to take it serious, and then it becomes hell. So anyway, this is my perspective, and Jung spoke about synchronicity. So one of the ways in which I navigate myself through this matrix of opposites, and one of the ways that I kind of know that it's okay to move forward and spirit has my back, is through synchronicity. So I just want to tell you about a beautiful synchronicity that told me it's okay. You can move out of the box, you're out of the box, and I love you, right? So when lockdown hit, being a highly intuitive person, I was immediately aware of, what the hell, like, no, this is not okay. Something is not okay. This is top-down control. This is fear-mongering. You know, people are being pushed into constricted awareness. This is not okay. And my sister, who is also highly intuitive, I love her very much, she phoned me, and she was worried because she now knew, rightly so, that something big had shifted in the collective, and that the powers that be was trying to control the populace. And my family being Christian and her being Christian, she phoned me and she said, you know, we are in this time now where it's very important to make the right decision, and I want you to make the right decision. I want you to be a Christian because this is the truth, you know, and if you don't do it, then in this time you're not going to be able to navigate yourself. And being human, I wanted to get triggered because I've been able to see supernatural stuff since I was a very little girl, and my sister knows this. And I wanted to go, who the hell do you think you are? You know that I've been able to see since I've been young. You've known what I've been through my whole entire life, and now you're phoning me and you're trying to get me to be, you know, narrow-minded. But as I was about to react to this trigger, I could feel my guides because, you know, I've been able to feel them in my peripheral vision for a while, for many years actually. And they said, don't listen to her words, don't react, listen to the energy behind her words, because it's the energy behind words that actually matters, right? That creates matter. That's why I also don't agree with the policing of language, by the way. And anyway, as I did this, I heard that she was saying, something big is happening. I'm intuitive just like you are. Something big is happening. It's scaring me. You think differently to what I think, and I don't understand it. If you think like I think, then from my perspective, I know that you are safe, and then I can calm down because I love you. And when I heard this, I was flooded with love. And instead of reacting, I was just listening. So obviously on the other side, oh, I have to go back. I have to go back. So we've got this story, right? Before that had happened, I went to bed after lockdown and I knew something was wrong. So I asked Spirit to give me a dream and tell me, what do I need to know to be able to navigate the next 4 years? And I record my dreams, so I remember about 4 to 5 dreams in an evening. And the whole dream space was taken up by a yellow butterfly, flying from one flower to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, for 8-hour dream space, you know. And I woke up and I thought, this is a bit random, you know. I know this is a transformational symbol, but it's a bit 101, right? So anyway, and I was aware of the yellow butterfly, and I was still living on a farm in Reddersburg, so I sat outside drinking my tea, and a yellow butterfly landed on me, a big one, and I thought, okay, yellow butterfly number 2, and somebody sent me a message, you know, with a yellow butterfly, and I went on Facebook and I saw lots of memes of yellow butterflies.